Welcome to Friday Fuel for March 7th, 2025. Join us on Sunday evening at 5:30 for Sunday supper provided by Dust the Walls from Wesley UMC, and stick around afterward for some spring and St. Patrick's Day crafts. Next Wednesday, we'll have worship at 8:30 as usual, and we will have a commissioning service for our spring break mission trip team. And don't forget to join us next Thursday for week 2 of our 4-week study on the book of Ruth, Thursdays at 4:30. And now here's some fuel for your Friday. The liturgical season of Lent began on Wednesday this week with Ash Wednesday. And the season of Lent is a time that traditionally the church has encouraged members to spend time in self-reflection and repentance and acts of growing closer to God. Also, historically, this was a time when members of the church would finish their final preparation for baptism, which would happen on Easter. And so, as I was thinking about what do we want to think about Lent this year, we could talk about things that people might give up for Lent or things that people might take on for Lent. Lent is a time of intentionally practicing our faith in ways that help us grow closer to God and help us turn from the things that separate us from God. That's what repentance is. It means to turn away. And so as I thought about that idea where, especially in the early church and the very earliest traditions of the church, people were prepared, finished their final preparation for baptism during the season of Lent. And right before Easter, I was thinking about our baptismal vows. And maybe if you haven't figured out what you're going to do for Lent, let me make a suggestion. So when a person is baptized, at least in the United Methodist tradition, there are some vows that they take. That's a renunciation of sin and profession of faith. And one of the questions that is asked is, do you accept the freedom and power God gives you to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever forms they present themselves? And so I was thinking about that question and that vow, because the response is, I do. And so if you have been baptized, especially in the United Methodist Church, and even if you were baptized as an infant, when we go through confirmation later, we answer that question for ourselves as part of our profession of faith when we take the faith that was promised to us at our baptism on as our own. So, do you accept the freedom and power God gives you to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in whatever forms they present themselves? And if, as a disciple of Jesus, you would answer, I do, to that question, then I would encourage you to think about where in the world around you do you see evil, oppression, and injustice presenting themselves, and in what ways during this season of Lent can you live into your acceptance of the power that God gives you to resist those? How can you be someone who resists evil, injustice, and oppression during Lent, maybe in more concerted and intentional ways than you have in the past? And maybe that's something you'll want to continue doing, or maybe it's something that will be a good practice for you to consider your baptism more as you prepare for the Easter feast that will come in the next 6 weeks plus Sundays. So that's a challenge. I'm thinking about ways that I can live into that more and resist evil, injustice, and oppression in ways that I see them presenting themselves in the world around me. And so I would encourage you to consider that. And I pray that you will have a meaningful and intentional Lenten season where you will work on growing closer to God and deeper in your own discipleship. So have a great week. I'll be back next Friday as we prepare for spring break to start. And I'll see you then. Bye.